January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. There are several efforts locally to not only help prevent human trafficking, but to also help victims of it. Carolee McGrath sat down with Jen Falcone, the director of Businesses Against Human Trafficking, and Elizabeth Dineen, the executive director of the YWCA, to learn more.
Human trafficking, there's basically two times when we consider human trafficking to have taken place. So anytime anyone under the age of 18 is sold for sex, whether there is a pimp involved or not, they're considered a victim of human trafficking. So there's no such thing as a child prostitute. And then the other time is anytime anyone is induced to work using force, fraud, or coercion. Those are kind of the three main pieces. In this area, much of the human trafficking we're talking about is sex trafficking and might look like prostitution. Many of those cases of prostitution actually under federal and state laws fall under human trafficking.
Okay, and so Elizabeth, you are a former prosecutor. You've obviously dealt with these cases before. You know, what do these victims, who are these victims and how has it been for them to break out of this lifestyle?
I think for most of the victims are women or children who are vulnerable. Either they've had a dysfunctional home life, they've been sexually abused, or been a victim of domestic violence in their own home, so they're vulnerable. And so they're an easy target for someone who's looking to bring somebody into the lifestyle to exploit them.
Okay, so they prey on certain individuals.
Absolutely prey on them, and they target them, and they cultivate them over a period of time. And very often it starts off as they're going to help you out. I'll help you, I will befriend you, I will help you get a place to live, I'll help you get food, clothing, etc. And then it might develop into a boyfriend-girlfriend type of situation, and then the next thing you know, the person is pimping them out, as Jennifer said.
How prevalent is it in the area? Because I think a lot of times when people think about human trafficking, they think about something happening overseas, or not, in their own hometown.
I think that it's prevalent. I think it's hard to determine the exact amount because of the nature of it. Sometimes people don't want to report it. And I think what Jennifer's doing in the community by working with businesses and trying to raise awareness is really, really effective to stop it. Because the more people that realize that it's happening in this area, the more people that get educated, whether it's business people or through your program and other programs, people can start to look for the signs and can start to look for ways that they can participate in ending it.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the business community and how they can help, because a lot of people, when they're thinking about human trafficking, they're going to be thinking about prosecution and they're going to be thinking about police, but not a business. How are businesses able to be involved in this?
So a really important piece of human trafficking, and specifically sex trafficking, is the demand. So we know that the reason that these women, girls, children get sucked into the life is because there are people that want to buy sex, and they don't care whether you were forced to do it or not. The men that are purchasing sex are not discriminating in that way. So anytime there's a demand for commercial sex, there's going to be an increase in sex trafficking. So one of the things, there's two avenues that the businesses can take and that we take in the work that we do with the businesses. One is we want to train staff and members of the community in terms of what trafficking looks like. What are the signs and symptoms, and then what do you do if you see that happening? And then the other piece really is this focusing on educating people that believe that prostitution is a victimless crime. There's still a very prevalent view that the women and girls are doing this willingly, that they need the money and the men are helping them out by paying them for sex, when the truth is very far from that. The majority of the time, these women and girls are being preyed upon by master manipulators that know just what they need to say to get these women and girls out there working for them, and then they're taking their money. So it's an educational piece to try to help drive down demand, because we know that the buyers of sex work at all different types of businesses. It's the laborers, it's the doctors, it's the attorneys, it's someone that works at the local food store or something. It's not just one type of person buying sex. And a lot of those men don't realize the harm that they're doing.
And what kind of things do you train people to look for? Like, let's say you work in a hotel, or maybe it's a restaurant.
Well, the good news is that in Springfield, a lot of the hotels are already doing training. The big brands especially, the Marriotts and the Sheratons, require it in all their hotels. But they're looking for people that come in maybe without luggage, someone that comes in, a girl or a man that comes in with a group of girls, and he's paying, he's controlling them. They might look afraid to be around him. They might be looking around. They might be dressed provocatively. So in a hotel, it's a little easier to pick out than a lot of other places, but a hotel is a prime kind of training venue for us. We also work with Peter Pan bus lines, the busing, the bus stations and everything. They've been doing a lot of work around this because when you are trafficking people, you need to move them around a little bit, usually to get to where the clients are.
So everybody kind of needs to be aware of
Exactly.
the signs.
Exactly.
Okay. And talk a little bit about what the YWCA is now doing. I know you have a new effort underway to help victims of this.
We do. We were very fortunate that Sheriff Nick Kochi was able to get $22,000 and give it to the YWCA so that we could convert 2 rooms within our Clow Street shelter for traffic victims. So we have 2 rooms and we can house 4 people. And we just started to do that right before Christmas. And we have 2 residents right now living there. And both of those women are from the Springfield area.
Okay, and I know that we've talked a lot about victims being women and young girls, but they can also be young men and men as well.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and as far as hope for them, after the fact, I know that we've had the privilege of interviewing Nikki Bell on this program as well, who's a survivor and who is now, helping others. But, when you're dealing with a victim, how do you help them restore their life?
One of the things we try to do at the YWCA is empower every woman that walks through the door. So we offer a variety of services. We have individual counseling, group counseling. We also have financial empowerment classes. We have classes for women to take to start to look for jobs, for housing. But primarily with the traffic victims, what we're trying to do is avail them to all the supports that are available throughout Western Mass and work with them to, if they want to participate in prosecution, that's an option. We don't force anybody to do that, but to do everything we can to support them as they start to heal. And because sometimes people have been involved in this lifestyle for a very long period of time, so it's going to take time to rebuild them.
And they've probably been told, you're never going to get out of this. You're always going to have to, bow to me, basically. So to be able to help them understand that there's a different path.
Right. And as Jennifer mentioned, the people that traffic women and children and men and boys are master manipulators. So they really break someone's psyche down and make them feel as though they are dependent on their trafficker to survive. And then their self-esteem is completely destroyed. And very often there's a component where they get them addicted to drugs. So that's one of the ways that they keep them involved in the lifestyle, in addition to beating them and controlling them psychologically.